Get ready to believe in the magic of Christmas as you dive into the enchanting world of the Polar Express, a captivating tale that takes you on a breathtaking train ride to the North Pole. In this heartwarming adventure, a young boy boards a mysterious train on Christmas Eve where he encounters new friends, learns valuable life lessons, and ultimately discovers that faith and belief can spark the most extraordinary journeys. Join him as he unravels the magic of the season in a story that celebrates friendship, wonder, and the spirit of giving. The Polar Express. The world outside was silent, the kind of stillness that comes with deep winter nights. I lay in my bed, my heart beating in anticipation, yet I dared not move. Even the rustling of sheets seemed too loud, too disruptive to the fragile magic of this moment. My breathing was shallow, controlled, as if any sound could shatter the spell of expectation. I was listening, straining my ears for a sound I was certain would never come. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. The room was stark and cold, the moonlight filtering in through the frosted window panes, painting faint silver streaks across the wooden floor. The house creaked softly, and my mind wandered to the warmth of the stories my parents had told me, stories I wasn't sure I believed anymore. I stared into the darkness, the quiet stretching out until a sound. It was faint at first, like the distant sizzling of a fire. My eyes widened and I bolted upright, the sound growing louder. Bells, soft, delicate, and clear, jingled in the stillness. Then came a deep metallic clanging, like a signal from something enormous. "Did you hear that?" I whispered to myself, barely daring to speak. Down the hall, the murmur of my family reached me. My sister Sarah's high-pitched voice was full of energy, as it always was at bedtime. "He said Santa would have to fly faster than the speed of light to get to every house in one night," Sarah explained. "And to carry all the presents, his sleigh would have to be bigger than an ocean liner." My father chuckled softly. "Well, there's a Santa, all right," he said, his tone playful but firm. "Really?" Sarah pressed, her voice laced with wonder. "Absolutely," Dad replied. "But how does he do it all?" "Magic," my mom interjected from somewhere in the background, her voice soothing. "Off to sleep, young lady. Santa won't come until everyone's dreaming." Sarah's protests faded as the house settled into stillness again. I glanced at the clock on my nightstand. The ticking seemed to grow louder, but then abruptly it stopped. A rumble replaced it, low and growing like thunder rolling across the frozen earth. The ground trembled. A shrill whistle pierced the night, its echo bouncing off the walls. "What?" I barely had time to think before the sound of brakes squealing filled the air. Through the frost-covered window I saw it, a massive train, its dark form cutting through the falling snow. Steam billowed in clouds around it, and golden light poured from its windows, illuminating the night in hues of warmth and mystery. The Polar Express. My breath caught. Was it real? I scrambled to the window, wiping at the frost with my sleeve to get a better look. The train gleamed, its metal shining in the moonlight. The whistle blew again and the doors hissed open. "All aboard!" The conductor's voice was commanding yet inviting. I hesitated, my heart racing. Was this a dream? "Well," the conductor's voice called again. "You coming?" I opened the door and stepped into the icy night. The snow crunched beneath my slippers as I moved closer to the train. The conductor was tall and straight-backed, his uniform crisp and immaculate despite the cold. "Where?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling. "Why, to the North Pole, of course," he said matter-of-factly. "This is the Polar Express." "The North Pole?" I echoed, my breath visible in the frigid air. "Indeed," he said, tilting his head as he handed me a ticket. "This is your crucial year. Now, climb aboard." I hesitated, glancing back at the quiet house. My bedroom light glowed faintly in the distance. "Suit yourself," the conductor said with a shrug, turning away. "We're on a schedule, after all." The whistle blew again, and the train's wheels began to creak and turn. I felt panic rise in my chest. "Wait!" I cried. The conductor stopped and turned. His expression was unreadable, but he extended a gloved hand toward me. Without thinking, I grabbed it and let him pull me aboard. The warmth of the train engulfed me immediately. Inside, the carriages were a vision of comfort and cheer, velvet seats, golden light fixtures, and the smell of hot chocolate filled the air. Children laughed and sang, their excitement palpable. "Tickets, please!" the conductor called, making his way down the aisle. I fumbled in my pocket and handed him the ticket he had given me earlier. He inspected it with a nod, then stamped it with a quick, precise motion. The train lurched forward, its whistle blowing once more. I settled into a seat, my heart still pounding. The magic of it all was overwhelming, the sights, the sounds, the very idea that I was on a train bound for the North Pole. Somewhere deep inside, the childlike wonder I thought I had lost began to stir. This was real, and the journey had just begun. The train burst into life, a lively energy flowing through the cars. A group of waiters emerged from nowhere, dancing with silver trays. Their movements were precise, coordinated, and almost magical as steaming cups of hot chocolate appeared in their hands. "Hot!" they chanted in unison, their voices blending harmoniously with the rhythm of their taps on the floor. "Oh, we got it! Hot, hot! Say we got it! Hot chocolate!" The smell of cocoa filled the air, rich and sweet, mingling with the slight metallic tang of the train's machinery. Children clapped along, their faces alight with excitement. The conductor moved among them, a steady, commanding figure, yet even he seemed caught in the rhythm. "Here we only got one rule," he said with a grin, holding his hand high as the waiters mimicked him. "Never, ever let it cool." The children echoed his words, giggling and chanting as cups were handed out, each filled to the brim with thick, steaming chocolate. Frost-covered windows framed the scene, the snowy world outside a blur of white as the train sped on toward its mysterious destination. One boy tilted his head, squinting curiously at the conductor. "You know, Montezuma, the king of the Aztecs would drink 50 quarts of hot chocolate every day," he said, his voice full of the satisfaction that comes with being the one to share a fact. "It was thick as mud and red. He put chili pepper in instead of sugar. Get it? Hot chocolate? How do you know that?" Another child challenged, his skepticism clear. The conductor didn't answer. He was too busy watching the passengers. His sharp eyes scanned the car, pausing when he noticed the solitary boy sitting toward the back. "What about this lad in the back?" he asked, turning toward one of the waiters. "Did he get any refreshment?" The boy shifted awkwardly, his hands clasped tightly in his lap. "I don't think we're supposed to leave our seats," the boy said, glancing nervously at the girl beside him. "It's a violation of safety regulations for a kid to cross moving cars without a grown-up." "I think I'll be okay," the girl said softly, determination in her voice. She rose, steadying herself against the swaying train. "Are you sure?" the boy asked again, but she was already moving, her steps deliberate and careful. The conductor watched her with an approving nod. "Let's take some to him by all means," he said. "Watch your step now." As she passed, the boy noticed something glinting on the seat she had just vacated. He bent to pick it up and realized it was her ticket. "She forgot her ticket!" he exclaimed, his voice rising in panic. The conductor frowned, his expression sharpening. "It hasn't been punched," he said gravely. He extended a hand toward the girl. Young lady, may I?" The girl turned, her eyes wide. "I left my ticket right here on the seat," she explained, her voice trembling. "But it's gone." "You mean," the conductor said slowly, "you have lost your ticket?" "No," the boy interjected quickly. "She didn't lose her ticket, I did. I was trying to return it to her, but the wind blew it out of my hand." The conductor's frown deepened. "These tickets are not transferable," he said firmly. He looked at the girl. "Young lady, you will just have to come along with me." The chatter of the other children turned to whispers. "You know what's going to happen now?" a boy with glasses said in a hushed tone. "He's going to throw her off the train. Standard procedure. That way she won't get sucked under the wheels." "They may slow the train down," another chimed in, "but they're never going to stop it." Horror flashed in the first boy's eyes. "Stop it!" he muttered to himself. His heart pounding, he stood abruptly. That's it! I have to stop the train again. As he moved toward the emergency brake, chaos erupted. What are you doing? The know-it-all boy shouted. You're gonna get us all in trouble. The boy didn't listen. His focus was solely on the girl who was being led away by the conductor. She turned back once, her eyes pleading. Please, she's in big trouble, the boy said to no one in particular. I have to help her. Without thinking, he raced toward the next car, the train's rhythmic clattering beneath him, almost drowning out his thoughts. The wind howled as he stepped between the cars, the cold biting through his thin pajamas. Ahead, he glimpsed the conductor and the girl disappearing into the darkness. He clenched his fists, determination fueling him as he pressed on. I found your ticket, he shouted into the wind. Now wait, I have your ticket. But the words were carried away by the train's roar, lost to the endless snow-covered expanse surrounding them. The conductor's voice cut sharply through the icy wind as they clung to the locomotive's front. Is everything all right? What should we do? His face, usually calm and commanding, now held a flicker of unease. Well, he began, his tone heavy with exaggerated calm. Considering the fact that we have lost communication with the engineer, we're standing totally exposed on the front of the locomotive. The train appears to be accelerating uncontrollably, and we are rapidly approaching Glacier Gulch, which, might I add, is the steepest downhill grade in the world. I suggest we all hold on tightly. The children's eyes widened in terror, and the conductor barely finished his warning before the train dove into the descent. The howling wind swallowed their collective screams as the massive locomotive lurched forward. The world became a blur of ice, snow, and roaring steel. The tracks ahead glinted, frozen over like a glassy ribbon leading them to doom. The boy, gripping tightly to the side rail, shouted, The pin! The pin is frozen! The conductor, now red-faced and desperate, growled through clenched teeth, Hold on, Jiminy Christmas! The ice has frozen over the tracks. He reached out, bracing against the wind, his gloved hands fumbling to find purchase. Come on, he shouted, ushering the children forward as the train hurtled faster. Watch your step! Quick now! Sweetie, up you go! He lifted one of the younger kids, his voice soft but urgent, before turning back to the others. Shh! Steady now, steady! Finally, the boy lunged forward, wrenching at the frozen pin with all his strength. It gave way with a metallic screech. The train's engine growled, its vibrations resonating deep into their bones, and for a fleeting moment it felt like the worst was behind them. Quick thinking on your part, the conductor muttered, wiping sweat from his brow despite the bitter cold. Step to your left, please. To your left. But before they could catch their breath, a loud crack echoed from beneath them. The train wobbled violently as the frozen tracks buckled under its weight. Ice shards flew like shattered glass. The conductor turned to look back, his voice trembling for the first time. What in the name of Mike? He muttered, staring at the crumbling ice. A resounding crack split the air. Look! Shouted one of the kids. Ahead, the tracks vanished into the chasm of Glacier Gulch. The glacial ice was breaking apart, swallowing the steel rails into its depths. Get us the blazes out of here! Bellowed the conductor, his voice barely audible over the deafening roar of splitting ice. Tracks! Dead ahead! One of the kids yelled, pointing wildly. Right! The conductor barked. Left! No, right again! Hang a Louie! The train swerved erratically, barely clinging to the narrow strips of remaining track. The boy's heart pounded as he clutched his ticket, holding it out like a talisman. It's not my ticket! It's yours! He yelled to the girl beside him. She stared at him wide-eyed. It's my ticket? Yes! Keep up with me! The conductor yelled commands, and the children stumbled along in rhythm. Left, right, left again. But the rhythm broke as the train tilted sharply to the side. Oh no! Oh no! The girl screamed. Brace yourselves! The conductor bellowed. The locomotive skidded, teetering dangerously on the edge of a ravine before finally regaining its balance. The kids collapsed in a heap, panting. The conductor straightened his cap and muttered, Well, that's more like it. He turned to the boy and girl. Thank you. I can't believe you found her ticket. The girl clutched her ticket tightly, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, she whispered. The conductor tipped his cap. Did someone say they found a ticket? Well, in that case. Tickets, please. He moved down the line, collecting tickets as if nothing had happened, but his hand trembled ever so slightly as he punched them. The boy turned to the girl, his heart still racing. Are you all right? She nodded weakly, brushing tears from her cheeks. And then, in the distant silence, a faint tinkling sound rose above the chaos. It was soft, almost imperceptible at first, but it grew clearer with each passing moment. Do you hear that? The boy asked, his voice hushed with wonder. The girl nodded, her eyes widening. The bell. Hero Boy's ears perked up, straining against the faint melody that floated through the cold air. Sleigh bell? He asked, his voice a whisper laced with wonder. He glanced at the others, but their faces showed only confusion. He gestured toward the tunnel ahead, a dark maw in the distance. Don't you hear it? It's coming from that tunnel. That's the way we should go. Come on. The others hesitated, exchanging uncertain glances. The icy air carried with it the haunting strains of a record skipping, a fragment of silver bells repeating in eerie monotony. Hero Boy pressed forward, undeterred. Come on, he urged again, his voice steady. I hear it, Hero Girl said softly, falling into step beside him. Lonely Boy nodded hesitantly. I hear it too, but one of the others shook their head in frustration. I don't hear anything. Why can't I hear anything? Shh, Hero Boy said, his tone commanding and hushed. Get down and be quiet. They crouched low, the crunch of snow beneath their feet muffled now as they approached. The tunnel loomed ahead, a dark void promising answers or perhaps mysteries. As they crept closer, the faint buzz of a phone and distant voices began to drift toward them. The children froze, listening intently. An elf's voice rang out, sharp and businesslike. Okay, well, that was the wrapping hall, Chief. Just finished the last one. How's it wrapped? Came a gruff reply. Holly green bough. The second voice rose in exasperation. What are they thinking down there? Are they Meshuggah? What's the routing? Going to the States. Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hero Boy gasped, his breath visible in the frigid air. That's my town. I'm from Grand Rapids, he said, his voice a mix of astonishment and pride. The elf general ignored the commotion around him, barking orders. Things aren't bad enough. What's his 20? Apparently some kid from Maplewood, New Jersey stuck gum in his sister's hair. Is he on the naughty list? Another elf asked. Not yet, the general replied. We'll cut the kid a break, but put him on the check twice list for next year. The elves bustled about, their voices fading as they moved deeper into the tunnel. The children exchanged glances, curiosity drawing them forward. Hero Girl gestured to the arrows painted on the walls, their bright red points beckoning them. I think we should follow those arrows, she said. Hero Boy nodded. Absolutely. As they ventured deeper, they came upon a massive pile of presents, each meticulously wrapped. Hero Boy's eyes caught on one in particular, and he crouched to read the label aloud. It's going to my town, to someone named Billy. Lonely Boy's eyes widened. That's me. It's going to 11,344 Edbrook Avenue. That's my address. Hero Girl gasped. Come on! But before they could celebrate, a sudden creaking sound froze them in place. The floor beneath them shifted, and something unseen coiled tightly around Lonely Boy's leg. He screamed, struggling against the invisible force. It's got me. It's got my leg. Give me your hand, Hero Girl shouted, extending her arm. I can't, Lonely Boy cried. Hero Boy grabbed his other arm. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Together, they heaved, and Lonely Boy stumbled free, gasping for air. But the relief was short-lived as the creaking grew louder. Another voice cut through the chaos, dry and mocking. What are you doing here? The children spun around to see a scraggly figure emerge from the shadows, clutching a present. His grin was crooked, his eyes gleaming with mischief. Same as you, he said. checking out my presents, making sure I'm getting everything on my list. All I found was one present. Hero Girl frowned, her voice stern. You're not supposed to be here. Figure smirked. Neither are you. Before they could respond, a voice crackled over a speaker. You may start your descent any time now. At your convenience, of course. It's still 5-2, Hero Boy said, his brow furrowing. I think we're gonna make it. Of course we will, said another voice, filled with an odd false confidence. It's been 5-2 for the last hour. We got plenty of time. The ground beneath them jolted, and they tumbled into a new chamber, vast and echoing with the clamor of elves hard at work. Hero Boy scrambled to his feet, his voice rising above the din. I may be just an old railroader, but from my perspective, you need more altitude. Laughter and cheers erupted as flying elves darted overhead, their precision a spectacle of acrobatics. But the joy was short-lived as a horn blared, signaling another turn of chaos. Finally, they emerged into the heart of the North Pole, where a great crowd had gathered, their voices rising in song. Bells chimed in perfect harmony, and Hero Boy turned to the others, his face alight with awe. Aren't those bells the most beautiful sound? But even as the crowd cheered and sang, Hero Boy felt a strange stillness inside him. The bells rang louder, yet they seemed distant, muted somehow. His heart sank as he realized the truth. The bell didn't ring for him. The air was crisp and still as Hero Boy stood among the swirling magic of the North Pole. His gaze drifted to the bell in Santa's hand, the intricate shine of its silver surface reflecting the shimmering lights around them. He clenched his fist, his heart pounding with quiet intensity. Slowly he whispered, I believe, I believe. His voice faltered, almost lost to the flurry of snow. Santa's eyes twinkled as he paused, tilting his head to listen. What was that you said? He asked, his deep, warm voice cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. Hero Boy swallowed hard, then repeated louder this time, I believe. Santa smiled, a broad grin that radiated reassurance. I believe that this is yours, he said, holding out the bell. Hero Boy's hands trembled as he accepted it. Thank you, he whispered, his voice laced with gratitude. Nearby, Know-It-All couldn't contain his excitement, hopping on the tips of his toes. Pick me, I want the first gift, he shouted, his voice piercing the festive air. Hero Girl, standing beside him, frowned. Hush, she said sharply. Santa chuckled and turned to Know-It-All, fixing him with a knowing look. Young man, patience and a smidgen of humility might also serve you well. The boy nodded sheepishly. Yes, sir, he mumbled. Santa shifted his gaze to Hero Girl, his expression softening. And you, young lady, he began, a lady of decision, full of confidence and spirit, Christmas spirit. Ho, 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 keep up the good work. Hero Girl's cheeks flushed with pride. Thank you, she said, her voice steady. Santa's attention then turned to Lonely Boy. And Billy, it is Billy, isn't it? I see you've made some new friends. Billy nodded enthusiastically. Yes, sir, I sure have. Santa's smile grew. That's a lucky lad. There's no greater gift than friendship. And speaking of gifts, he paused, looking out over the children. Let's have this young fellow right here. The crowd erupted in cheers as Hero Boy stepped forward. Santa leaned down, his voice lowering to an intimate whisper. Now, what would you like for Christmas? Hero Boy hesitated, leaning in to whisper his answer. Santa nodded solemnly. Yes, indeed. He straightened and declared loudly, the first gift of Christmas. The cheers swelled as Santa handed Hero Boy the bell. Holding it in his hands, Hero Boy felt its weight, a tangible symbol of everything he'd come to believe. Santa's voice boomed again, rich with meaning. This bell is a wonderful symbol of the spirit of Christmas. Just remember, the true spirit of Christmas lies in your heart. Hero Boy nodded, his heart swelling with emotion. Thank you, he murmured again. Santa climbed back onto his sleigh, his booming laughter echoing as he commanded his reindeer. Pull, Comet, pull, boy. Now, Dasher, now, Prancer and Vixen. The sleigh lifted into the sky, the bells of the harness jingling with a magic that filled the air. The children stared in awe as Santa disappeared into the night, his final command ringing out, "Dash away! Dash away all!" The train whistle blew, signaling it was time to board. As the children climbed aboard, the conductor began his rounds, collecting tickets. He paused at Hero Boy, glancing at the word punched into the paper. "Learn," he read aloud. "A good lesson. Lesson learned." His eyes twinkled as he turned to Hero Girl. "And yours says lead, as in leadership. Lead the way." Hero Girl smiled, the quiet assurance of the moment settling over her. "Thank you." The train rumbled to life, the says now covered landscape blurring as it began its journey back. Hero Boy reached into his pocket, his fingers searching for the bell, but his heart sank as he felt only the empty fabric. "It's gone," he said, his voice breaking. The others gathered around him. "We'll find it," Billy said. "We'll help you." But Hero Boy shook his head, his shoulders slumping. "It's too late." Billy placed a hand on his shoulder. "I'm sorry," he said earnestly. The train slowed, and Billy stepped off at his stop. As he turned to wave, the children noticed the glow of lights in the distance. "Look," Hero Girl said. "Santa's already been to Billy's house." The sight brought a flicker of hope to Hero Boy's heart. He waved to Billy, their friendship now etched into the memory of the night. When Hero Boy finally returned home, the house was quiet. As dawn broke, his sister Sarah woke him, her excitement spilling over. "Santa's been here! Hurry!" she cried. Under the tree, surrounded by the treasures of the morning, Sarah handed him a small box. "This one has your name on it." Hero Boy opened it with trembling hands. Inside was the bell, shining as brightly as ever. A note was tucked beside it. "Better fix that hole in your pocket." Mr. Sea Tears filled his eyes as he rang the bell. Its sound was clear, sweet, and pure, a melody of belief, joy, and wonder. His parents looked at him curiously. "It's broken," his father said, shaking his head. "I don't hear anything." But Hero Boy smiled. He heard it. He always would. As the years passed, the bell's magic faded for everyone else. Even Sarah one Christmas could no longer hear its sweet sound. Yet for Hero Boy, the bell always rang, its melody a reminder that the true spirit of Christmas never fades for those who truly believe.